Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about streaming and playing video games on the internet. My name is Crunky.
I am Cherry Cake.
This week we're talking about the new hit game, retro, re-release, sequel 30 years later. Aren't they doing this with movies, having like sequels 30 years later? Like Dumb and Dumber 2 came out of nowhere.
It's come full circle. Everyone's run out of ideas, so they're just rehashing old things now.
This summer, starring Macaulay Culkin, ToeJam and Earl back in the groove.
Yes, precisely that.
So, before we talk about ToeJam and Earl and Macaulay Culkin, let's talk about what we've been playing lately. I have been very interested in what you've been playing lately, Cherry, other than ToeJam and Earl.
Other than ToeJam and Earl. To be honest, I have been absolutely smashing Hollow Knight on the Switch. Our friend, the Brozerker, has been streaming it for the first time. He's never played it before.
Who's this guy? I don't know who this is.
I know, it's some person that's latched onto us.
Is he that surly Scotsman who's been on our streams and our podcast lately?
Yeah. If you guys don't know Zerka, he was a guest on our podcast a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Dark Souls. So if you want to go check that out, you can go listen to his lovely Scottish voice.
And his Scottish witticisms that I still don't know what the hell he's talking about. Some of the slang, I'm like...
To be honest, he has to explain some of them to me, so don't feel bad.
I figured. He messaged me yesterday or earlier today, I don't remember, and he said... Fuck WD it LOL. And I was like, could you please translate that to me? He goes,
what?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like
Is it a typo?
He has. No, I thought it was a typo, but it's actually some shorthand for "we got wrecked," I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a typo. I don't know. It all washes together. I was just looking at my phone and looked for it now.
It just sounds like one of those instances where you swear and then you just smash the phone with your palm and then just send whatever's coming out.
Exactly. Just go do the message on now.
So, Zerka has been streaming Hollow Knight on his channel and really made me want to play it again. I've played it previously on PC before, and currently going back through it on PC on my stream as well, but also playing it in sync at the same time on my Switch, which is kind of difficult because when I come to my PC, I'm like, wait, where am I now? Yeah.
Man, you really love this game. Not only you're playing it through on two different systems at the same time.
I can't tell you how in love with this game I am.
Do we need to sit down and have a talk about your addiction to Hollow Knight? Maybe.
I need an intervention. It's just such a really well done game. Like, everything about it is so beautiful, from the artwork to the music to the gameplay, the characters. Everything in it is just so pretty to look at, and it's a really interesting game. If you like, for those that don't know, I haven't played Hollow Knight, which I'm sure is very few people because it's a pretty well-known game, I assume.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
They ported it to Switch, and they hardly do anything with those.
Well, if you'd have said that when the Switch was released, you would have been eating your words.
Oh, I know. I think I did say it. I said on this podcast, actually, like in the first couple seasons we did, I'm like, yes, bring us more ports for the Switch, because nobody had a Wii U. Like 5 people had a Wii U, and I'm one. We're 2 of them, actually. Cherry and I both had one.
Yeah.
So bring them all, port it all. And speaking of which, they're going to port Super Mario Maker. Well, 2, even though we know it's 1.5. It's just a secret between us. They've added a couple features and put a 2 on it. We're good.
I withhold judgment until that is actually released. Yeah. But we covered that in was it last week or the week before with the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago, because last week was Anthem.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we had a massive rant about Anthem and EA. But yeah, I'll withhold judgment on Mario Maker 2, although I am quite excited for it. We'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, Hollow Knight is what I've been absolutely loving and properly blazing through this week.
Yeah, have you found anything like extra stuff this playthrough? Is there DLC that you didn't have before, or?
Weirdly, yeah. When I was playing it on my stream, I came across there's some different areas that I can almost 100% say that I'd not found before on my previous playthroughs. And it's the one thing that I love about Hollow Knight is that every playthrough is different. So while you're going to the same areas that you would to progress through the game, you're not necessarily doing it in the same fashion as your previous game playthrough. So it's what keeps it interesting for me, at least. And yeah, there's definitely some areas in the map that I found on the PC, but I haven't found while playing it on the Switch. So it's really interesting.
That's cool. I haven't played a really good deep Metroidvania for a while. I played Hollow Knight and I liked it, but I am so bad at, if I get stuck and don't remember what I'm supposed to be doing or where I'm supposed to go, I'm like, let's play something else.
Yeah, that was the problem that Zerka was having until he found the map. But that's a whole different story. The one bit of advice that I can just give to anyone that wants to play Hollow Knight, if you do find yourself getting stuck and not knowing where to go, if you have a map, just check it and see where the walls don't meet. Like there's an opening somewhere in the map, and just go on an adventure, because more often than not, it will lead you to somewhere where you need to be. And
let me write this down. Use the map. Okay, got it.
Oh God, I hope Zerka listens to this.
I'm sure he will.
So anyway, yeah, that's Hollow Knight. So what about you, Krung? What have you been going through this week?
Well, let's see. I've played a little bit of Overwatch. They introduced a new character in that named Baptiste, and I've not really played it since they added the last couple new characters. And I love that game. Like, it's one of those games that I play and I love it for like can't get enough of it for a day or two.
Yeah.
And then I get ragey because I start to get competitive and I want to get in the ranked and rank up, and I'm like, oh no, it's sort of like Rainbow Six Siege. It's like all of a sudden one day you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I do remember last time you played it, I think what I remember you telling me about was when they introduced the hamster character, and you like fell in love with it again because it was so fun to play.
I played it for like 4 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Just like I'd fill it in here and there off stream or on stream, and the hamster, especially when he was new, because there was never really a character like him before.
Yeah.
He was like a giant ball that could like roll around on a string and slam down into people. Well, I played him actually last night. I played him as hamster, and like everyone knows how to counter hamster now. So it was, or they nerfed him or shield or something, because all of a sudden, like every time I ran in, like try to do my old tactics where I'd run in there like Miley Cyrus and knock everybody down, I'd be dead like that. I'm like, well, Jesus, people have figured out this meta.
Oh man.
But the other game I played on stream Saturday, Sunday. I don't remember what day it was.
I think it was Sunday.
Sunday? This game called The Return of the Obra Dinn. It's a couple of like, Yahtzee, the guy that does the zero punctuation videos on YouTube.
Yes.
I think I may have first heard about it there. He said, this game is absolutely under the radar, amazing. It's unlike anything you've played before. And I'm always talking about, I love to try new experiences, even if they're not great, just something unique. And that is this game. This game is unlike anything I've ever played. In fact, to call it a game is a little generous. It's more like an interactive novel. Like,
okay.
It's got a very divisive art style. It's like cell shaded black and white. So they fully render, everything, but all the physical objects on this boat. But when you're walking around, the textures that go over things are cell shaded that move. So it can be like, I had a couple people, like, I think you were one of them, that were like, this is making me sick. I gotta go. Yeah.
I unfortunately, I couldn't stay to watch because when you were moving around the ship, it gave me motion sickness.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen too much of it.
So basically the gameplay is it's like 1800s England. Apparently that's a real place. I had no idea. But,
what was it?
England.
No, not England.
It's a country.
Place. Oh God. It's stated that. Oh, please don't. I'm so sorry, guys. I know where England is. I live in England.
I don't remember the place. I'm sorry. It was some English town. I don't know the name. Some port.
It wasn't Portsmouth, was it? Or like Falmouth or something like that?
We'll go with yes, but I don't know for sure. You'll be more apt to remember it because you'll be like, oh, that's a place I know exists. To me, it's just Narnia, some place in Narnia. I don't know. I've never been to England. I don't know. I didn't even know you guys had cities or boats there, really, to be honest.
Can confirm it does exist.
but it's like 1800s, so there's like no modern technology, and your job is to like investigate what happened. This boat called the Obra Dinn disappeared a year ago and just showed up, and all 60 people on board are dead.
Ooh.
And you're there to investigate, and you show up on a life raft, sort of like the beginning of BioShock Infinite. You're on a boat with the guy.
Yeah.
And you get off the little raft boat, and he goes, here's this thing you need, and it's a book. And the book has all these blank pages in it that have chapter names and things. And then they give you like the stopwatch that has a skull on it.
Ooh.
And you walk on the boat, and there's a dead guy there. And when you get close to the dead guy, your character automatically pulls out this watch that has the skull on it. And if you push there's only like 3 or 4 controls. You push the interact button, and it warps you into the past, and you get to see you get to hear and read the last moments of this character's life, and you get to see the exact moment they died and everything that's happening in this still, like this interactive times frozen still. You get to watch it, and this is supposed to be, I guess, to be like a visual representation of you doing an investigation.
Yeah.
And all the controls are like, you can, it'll tell you, okay, this is a dead person you found. How did they die? Who are they? Using clues. And there's all these like deeper mechanics that, like, if there's been enough clues shown to you, the character's face is no longer blurry in the picture.
Oh.
And so like, it's basically saying, if you look around, there are enough clues technically right now for you to be able to figure this out, but you haven't figured it out, you big dummy. That's what I kept feeling like the whole game. Because I think between D and I got like 4 people out of like 20.
Oh.
But as you find all these people, it fills in the pages of the book, and you can like put bookmarks in and tie people together, and you can use context clues by who is with who and who's related to who. It's this really interesting and unique game that like was really engaging. I think it's sort of like a choose your own adventure book or like a good novel. Once you know how it all ends, it probably won't be as fun to play through a second time. Like it's not, you know, I mean, I'm normally one about the gameplay. Like I love the act of jumping and shooting and punching and kicking those things in a game. None of that in this game. This game is all, wait, who is that? And that means if they did that, then that means this person did that. And oh, that girl has the same last name as this guy. So maybe they're related, and you start looking into clues. So it's got these really neat little, like, if you like, CSI kind of stuff, you know, like crime scene investigation stuff. Our friend Bishiv loves that kind of stuff. And I actually had bought him the game, a month ago when I heard about it. I'm like, I think he loves Majora's Mask, and we're going to fill in a book and figure out what's going on. He loves that kind of stuff. And I go, dude, play this game. And he had not tried it yet. And he was watching the stream, and he goes, oh my God, I have to leave because I definitely don't want any spoilers. I'm going to go play the hell out of this.
Oh, good.
So we got about maybe halfway through it, and I'll tell you, it didn't stream well because it was a lot of us sitting around thinking and talking, and like the people that maybe were into that didn't stick around to like help out with that. I think it could be a good stream game if it didn't make people nauseous and if people were like into it, but it's not a thing you wander into part way and are immediately engrossed. If you're in from the beginning, it's really fascinating because you got to like puzzle it all out. But so yeah, I would highly recommend it. It was $20 on Steam, and that's full price. It wasn't on sale or anything. It was just full price. And I was like, you know what? This is a game I want a unique experience, and I'm happy to support them. I tweeted out the game developer and the producer. It's the same guy that made Papers, Please, which you probably have heard about.
I've played that.
Have you played it? Yeah. So it's kind of like this you know, different angle toward a video game. If you don't, you know what I mean? It's like not something you think could be a compelling experience, but somehow it is. It's great.
I weirdly found that with Papers, Please, because I remember watching Jacksepticeye on YouTube play it through it, and I got really engrossed in, like, obviously did like an episodic gameplay on it, and at the end of it I was like, I kind of want to have a go at that, so I picked it up and really got into it. And if it's that same kind of engrossing gameplay, then I can definitely see it.
The game mechanics are a lot different, and obviously with the time travel and stuff like that, but like the whole it's a game about like figuring out the personnel and the personalities involved, and not really about can I quick scope this guy in the head from a mile away kind of game. There are no like platforming elements or video gaminess of it. Like the hardest thing you have to do is sometimes when you're in one of the memories, there'll be like a triggered connected scene. And when you click on it like does this like bubbles come out and it goes like another part of the ship and you got to follow it and find it. But that's nothing difficult. Highly recommended.
Nice.
But what we're really here to talk about is
ToeJam and Earl.
Back in the Groove.
Yeah.
Which fun fact, executive produced by Macaulay Culkin. That was not a joke earlier.
No, that was it was teased on Steam on like underneath the news part and the updates, and it had a picture of I think maybe one of the developers, I can't remember, but next to him it was like a blank, just an outline of a person saying executive producer, and it's like, oh, we've got a massive announcement to make coming later today, so. Yeah, that was interesting.
And then they went, Kevin! And slapped the sides of their face.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So, ToeJam. I did not play ToeJam and Earl back in the day, and I did not play ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove. I watched a lot of reviews and gameplay videos, and I almost pulled the trigger on it. And my wife was the one that was like, don't play it. Just watch some video and talk to Cherry about it on the stream because you're just going to bitch about it the whole time. She goes, I know you're not going to like that game. And I go, yeah, you're right. I'm not. And she goes, and you'll just rain on everybody's parade during the podcast. I go, you know what? You're right. I gotta listen to the wife. So that's why. Funny enough. That's why I ended up playing that Obra Dinn game because I was $20 I was going to spend on that. I spent on that instead. So tell us all about it. I mean, it's a overworld type adventure game, right?
Yeah. Well. For those that are old enough, may remember the original ToeJam and Earl, which actually is
Not me, that was before my time.
He's 28 years old, Crunk, so it's not before your time, so don't lie. So this was first released for the Mega Drive, or for Genesis if you're from America, back in March of 91, so it's a fair year, fairly old game, the original one. And what they've done is... some people that were interested in updating the game, I guess, and bringing it back. They made a Kickstarter, and they had a $500,000 goal, and that was back in 2015. So 4 years on, and it's come to fruition. There have been a couple of setbacks. I know that it did get delayed a couple of times, but I don't think it was anything major that was wrong. It was probably just a little bit of tweaking here and there. So basically what they've done with this new, I don't want to call it new because it's like just a remake of an old one. There are some new elements to it, but I guess if you want to call it new, that's what it is, I suppose.
So, I mean, like, what kind of game is it, though, for people who have not played either one?
Yeah, what you were saying then is... some people have described it as a dungeon crawler, but to me it doesn't... It has aspects of that, but I wouldn't put it into that category. I don't really know how to categorize this game.
What I've seen is it's got some those like roguelike elements where like they give you some modifiers, different types of enemies, different types of abilities, drop you on an area, and you've got to go collect stuff like parts of your ship to get past that level onto the next one, right? Yeah.
So the story of it is ToeJam and Earl, who were the two main characters, aliens that you play as. They've borrowed their friend's spaceship and gone for a joyride with their girlfriend. This one is different because they have their girlfriends with them. The original did not. It was just those two. And basically what happens is they get to a point where they come across Earth and Earl presses one of the wrong buttons in the ship and creates a black hole and sucks the Earth in and themselves, and the spaceship gets blown to pieces. You land on Earth, and it is your job to find all the missing pieces of the spaceship, and essentially you have a map of one of the levels, the level that you're on. So each level has a different map that you have to uncover by searching and moving around the level that you're on. And some of the levels will have the ship pieces, some of them won't. But the way you move between the levels is by finding an elevator. That is your objective, basically, to rebuild the spaceship that has been exploded.
Rules.
Sorry?
Pikmin rules.
If you want to compare it to Pikmin.
Although this came first, so this is more. Pikmin is more of a ToeJam and Earl ripoff, is what we're saying.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
Clearly. Miyamoto's such a hack.
Again, for those that do remember the original one, which is nearly 30 years old, there are some similarities to it, which for me, I played the original. I know you didn't, Grunk, but for me, there are some really nostalgic aspects to it and some really cool throwbacks to the original game. So obviously you still have the main characters, you still have ToeJam and Earl, but the art style that they've gone for is slightly different. Obviously with the Mega Drive, you have the pixel. Was the Mega Drive 16-bit?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. That kind of graphics in the original one. At this time, it's almost like would you say cell shaded? I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly using cell shaded, but it's got more of a 3D look to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've noticed actually the camera angle on it is slightly set lower, but that's just me being a nerd about it. They have also incorporated different things in the UI, so you have a bit more detail in it now. So, for instance, within the levels that you move around, you have presents that you can pick up, and each of the presents have different abilities, and these can either help you or hinder you. So you can pick up ones that you have Icarus wings, which make you fly around. You can get high tops, which is a very 90s thing, which make you run faster. You can get all kinds of different things that will help you, but you can also, I should mention actually, on each level, there are enemies are called Earthlings, and they will hurt you and they will kill you.
It's always mankind's the most evil creature.
Yes, so on point. And some of the presents will spawn Earthlings, or get a rain cloud over you and just electrocute you to death, things like that.
One thing that jumps out at me about ToeJam and Earl back then and even this new one is it very much captures that 90s spirit of what the Sega was going through then.
Yes.
With most of their games, of it being hip and cool and late teen, early adult. I was telling Cherry about this before we recorded, but I've been listening to this audiobook about the 16-bit era, from Sega's point of view, and how they took on Nintendo in America, and a lot of it was through advertising, and this really just is smack dab in the middle of that with the rap song, theme song, and all the characters are wearing hoods and ball caps or
Hawaiian
whatever.
Shirts.
Exactly, and they rap on the commercials and stuff. It was really funny.
It's really funny you should mention that, actually, because I actually have it in my notes here saying it's very 90s, because you, as you progress through the game, you earn XP, and you get to level up, and each of the levels have different names for the promotions.
Yeah. So
you have things like Doofus, and Poindexter, and a Homie, and it's so quintessentially 90s, it's unbelievable.
Well, Homie's got to be toward the top, and Doofus and Poindexter are toward the bottom, right?
Yes, yeah. I think Doofus and Poindexter are the first two. Homie is more.
Yeah.
When you get good.
It's been a while since the 90s, but I'm pretty sure Poindexter's lower on the totem pole than Doofus. No, Doofus is lower, and then at the top is obviously Homie.
Well, I think it's Rapmaster, that's the top one. Yeah.
So there was a movie in the 90s called White Men Can't Jump. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
Oh my God. It's the most 90s movie you've ever seen, right? And I had some friends, I was probably in middle school when it came out, and I had some friends of mine that they're like, we got to watch this movie. We watched it, and they were so enamored with it. I was like, it was okay. It had some funny moments, but it was okay. At the credits rolled, they're like, let's rewind it and watch it again. I'm like, no. There's no movie good enough to watch back to back. I don't care who you are, at least not for me. I'm like, let's do something else. Anything of this, other than that.
It could have been that good. You never know.
Well, it was funny because in this book, the president of Sega of America, the epiphany of how to combat Nintendo through commercials and public image came to him watching a sneaker commercial here in the United States.
Wow.
he watched two bungee jumpers. Did you guys in England have the pump shoes? The shoes that had like pumps in the tongue that would air up?
They vaguely sound familiar, yes.
Okay. It might have been before your time too, but we're talking like early 90s. They had these, Reebok had these shoes with pumps, and they had little bitty air pocket pumps in the front of them. So these two bungee jumpers just standing on the edge of a bridge with bungee jumps tied to their shoes.
Yeah.
And the Nike guy gets up there and he jumps off, and then the Reebok guy gets up there and he pumps his shoes up and jumps off. And then the camera cuts to the bottom and it shows the Reebok guy who pumped his shoes up swinging there, laughing, almost hit the water and laughing and having a good time. And then it cuts over to the Nike guy and it's just his shoes hanging there. He clearly had come out of his shoes into the water. And they're like, Reeboks are cool and Nikes are stupid, right?
Wow.
And so that's where, I don't know how much of commercial coverage you guys had or you remember, but in the United States, all the commercials for Genesis here were, hey, hip kids, don't be square like Mario and those kiddie games over there. Let's play ToeJam and Earl. We like rap and we make jokes. And there was even a great story about how when Nintendo put out Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, it was a huge commercial success, right? Nintendo paid Mike Tyson a bunch of money to have him be the face of their boxing game. That was just their boxing game. They just replaced Mr. Dream at the end with him. And then, and whatever year it was, right when the Genesis was coming to America, Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. So Sega thought, what we'll do is we'll have our own Buster Douglas game. That'll be like a fuck you, Nintendo. Yeah. We knocked your guy out, right?
Yeah.
And so it takes about 9 months for them to get this game. They took an old Taito boxing game and they just slapped Buster Douglas in there. And it came out like 2 weeks before Buster Douglas's next fight, which he famously lost.
Oh.
So they're like, oh, we're going to eat a bunch of shit in the media when our game comes out and the losers on the cover, like the former heavyweight champions on the cover.
Yeah.
And it was Sega of America's decision to go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be the butt of the joke. We're going to say, look how goofy this is that we got this guy on the cover. And they like made a commercial about how silly it was and how they had egg on their face. And look how we're hip and cool, guys. We get it. We're in on the jokes. And that like really bought them a lot of fame. And because it was a competent game, anyway,
yeah.
it sold well and reviewed well. So it's just funny that this ToeJam and Earl, this reminds me of all of this the saga of marketing being a huge spin for Sega back then.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game too, right? ToeJam and Earl, you didn't just play it a little bit, you played it a lot when you were a kid, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it is a co-op game. Actually, funnily enough, me and my sister were playing the new one a couple of days ago.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we used to play it a lot as kids on the Mega Drive. Obviously because it was 2 players, so 2 of us could play at one time. Bev and me checked out the new one in co-op.
That was Bev, in case you guys didn't hear that.
Yes, sorry, my sister. It has a few flaws. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I think
are they like, oh my god, my rose-colored glasses are broken flaws? Or are they like it's different than the original?
Neither.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not. It's definitely not the latter. But
okay.
The problem is not lying. I don't think within the game. The issue was we were getting a lot of stutter.
Oh. Wow.
So I don't know if that might possibly be fixed in an update or at some point along the line, but unfortunately,
on the Switch.
Yeah, the Switch. Yeah.
Okay.
When me and Bev were playing it, it wasn't even because what happens when you play a co-op? If you do wander away from each other, you get your own sort of split screen. You will start as one screen, and then it will split off if you decide to go in different directions. But it wasn't even that was causing the stutter. It was just for some reason when we were wandering around the map and it would just all of a sudden just pause for a split second and then move on. So I'm not entirely sure what the issue is that lies there. But hopefully they'll fix it at some point. The other thing as well, that actually my sister did take an issue with, which it didn't really bother me, but we were just playing on the console itself. We weren't playing on the TV. And the problem was that the map that you have a mini map, in the bottom right-hand corner. You can enlarge it, but with the size of the Switch console itself and with a split screen and then a mini-map, it's impossible to see where you are.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, that's crazy. My blind ass, I can't see it. I can't play anything in handheld mode.
Yeah, you're entirely right. Yeah, it's if you do play it in 2-player, definitely put it onto a TV screen because you can't see what you're doing at all. I'm
wondering if the freezes that you got were playing multiplayer on offline or not on the TV, because doesn't it get a little bit of a boost when you're playing in the docked mode?
It could do, because it is powered by the
plug, the
AC, yeah. So
yeah,
it might solve the issue, but I'll have to test
let us know how that goes.
Yeah. But other than that, it was a good throwback to play that again with my sister. Seems like we did play it a lot when we were kids.
It was funny though, because I messaged you yesterday or whatever day it was, and I'm like, have you had a chance to play ToeJam? Can we talk about the podcast? And I go, how much time have you put in? And you were like, enough. I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, there is. I was going to leave this till later, but I will cover it now because we were just on down points of this game. I'll get to the good points.
Game of shit.
Yeah. The one major issue that I have with it, which I don't know if I didn't get far enough in the original game for this to be a thing. So I don't know if this was in the original or if it's just a thing that they brought in with the new one. So forgive me for that. Basically what happens is you have lives within the game, and if you take enough damage you will die and you will lose lives. There is a save function. You can save and continue or save and quit for any time when you're on a level. So I was happily wandering through and saving, continuing my save file, and I got to some of the later levels, and when you get to the later levels, the Earthlings are very aggressive. They will come at you at a force, and they're all over the place. It gets very difficult. So I was just wandering around, and I was losing lives. I'm not gonna lie. I got run over a few times, and yeah, drowned. And I ran out of lives, and it said game over. So I was like, oh, okay. Went back to the main menu. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll restart at my save point. Went back to my save area, before I got into the game, like my save game, and it wasn't there. It'd been wiped.
So if you die and go game over, it wipes your save game?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
At this point, I will point out, there are 10 space
worlds or whatever, levels?
No, spaceship pieces.
Oh, okay. Spaceship parts.
Yeah, my brain fired again. So there are 10 spaceship parts that you have to find over the various levels. I had 9. And I had gone to the end of the levels, and the level was like, oh, you've missed one. Try going back to previous levels and finding it. So I was like, okay, you can fall off the levels because these are floating areas, which allows you to retrace your steps in case you have missed something. So I was falling through the levels, and I died. I had 9 pieces and lost my save game. So I put it down, and I was like, yep, I'm done with that now.
Yeah.
So,
but how many hours did you say you got out of your $20, right? Or whatever it was?
Roughly, probably 8 to 10.
That's
maybe a bit
good.
more.
That's pretty good. And you know what? It's there in case, like, maybe you're mad now, but in a couple of weeks you'd be like, oh, you know what? I think I want to try that again. I never did get that 10th piece. Maybe you'll go back to it.
The thing is with this one as well, with the new version, is that they've now included different playable characters. So, as I was saying, in this one now, you can play as ToeJam or Earl's girlfriend. And you can also play as the original ToeJam and Earl, or the new version of ToeJam and Earl. And there are also unlockable characters as well. I'm assuming you unlock them from beating the game, I guess.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and what's nice about this one is that they've actually included stats with characters. So different characters have different stats. Some can hold more, some are faster, some have bigger lives, bigger health bars. So it has a replayability value in that, I guess.
Oh, that's good. That's kind of reminds me of some of the things that they did with Resident Evil 2, and that there's some replayability in that, in the multiple versions of the story, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Different characters.
The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is that they've kind of merged. ToeJam and Earl also had a sequel, which was called Panic on Funkatron, which is entirely sorry.
It's because, of course, it was called that.
it's 90s. What can I say? It's very, very different from the first one. Whereas the first one, what you were saying, was like a roguelike / dungeon crawler type of game. The second one, the sequel, is actually a side scroller, and it's it's completely different. You still play as ToeJam and Earl, but the gameplay is completely different. But in this one, they've almost merged aspects of the two games together. So there's some things from the sequel that you will find in this one, in the new version. So things that were in Panic on Funkatron, where you can search trees and bushes for items, presents, and money, or things like that. You can now do in the first game, which wasn't a thing in the original game. So,
well, that's smart. Kind of an homage to both of them.
Yeah, it's really cool how they've done that. And also, actually, while I think on, they have also included some little Easter eggs in some of the levels. So this was originally a Kickstarter, as I said, and they have now included some little areas, like little offshoot islands within the levels. And on the islands, there are like little avatars of some of the Kickstarters, and it has like a little like a billboard behind the character, and you can go and talk to them, and they'll give you stuff. So it's a nice little inclusion that they've done there.
That's cool. That was probably a higher level Kickstarter that lets them get their name in the game. That's cool.
For sure.
So you definitely recommend it to fans of the original, right?
Yes, if you have played the original, then this will probably be a nice nostalgia trip for those. It might not appeal to everyone. It is quite a niche game, but for what you pay for it, I mean, you can't really complain. I think I picked it up for about £15.
Nice. That's a heavy game.
Yeah.
Get it? Pounds? That joke never gets old.
It's late. We are recording this at evening, guys, so it's been a long day.
We're behind schedule. I've had a real bad chest cold. I wasn't able to actually, and so does the whole family here. I wasn't actually able to record on a normal day, but
yes, that's what Grunky calls a hangover.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to go into a murderer's row of game releases, though, Cherry.
Oh yes, I was getting myself caught up just before we started recording this.
What have you got on your radar?
This one has been ever since Nintendo Direct, but even before, it was last year. Yoshi's Crafted World. That is.
Oh wait, when that comes out next week?
No, end of March.
End of March, okay.
Yeah, 28th.
Next week is Devil May Cry 5, which I've talked myself into giving it a shot. I've never been able to get into one before, but our buddy Chichin plays the hell out of them, and I'm like, you know what? Chichin has not steered me wrong yet. I'm going to try it.
Oh, good.
And then like a week or so later is Sekiro, which is the Dark Souls company from Soft Games. So we'll see what that's like. And, the Rainbow Six operators come out, tomorrow or today?
Oh, do they?
If you buy the expansion now, you get them a week early, which is today.
Yeah, this is true.
So
also,
it's going to be a busy time.
I will say that if you do play Devil May Cry 5, it's set in London, so you will witness the existence of England.
Again, finding out just now for the first time, it's a real place, you're telling me.
Yes, you can see England. All the stereotypes as well, because I've seen that there are red double-decker buses in there. There's probably a guy walking around with a bowler hat on knowing them. Probably.
But, I mean, I don't know anything about Devil May Cry. Does it take place, like, in the past or modern times? Or
I'm not entirely sure. I think it might be... I want to say it's like an alternate, like London, but it's still London, but not as we know it.
Gotcha.
There's a slogan.
It's full of red double-decker buses and bowler hats.
Yeah, apparently it's really grim. Like, I've heard the setting is really dingy.
You're talking about Devil May Cry or just London?
Both.
That London slight.
Oof.
Sorry, our London visitors or London viewers. We actually have quite a bit of people who listen to us in England.
Yeah, but it's fine. There's a north-south divide, so we hate them, they hate us. That's how it works.
All right. That's kind of like America, I guess, where we all just hate each other.
Yes.
We have 50 states and we all fight with each other. But... All right. Well, Cherry, how can people reach out to you?
If you want to get hold of me for any particular reason, guys, you can reach me on Twitter. I am at cherrycake518, and you will find me streaming on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/cherrycaketv.
You still doing production videos, or are you at capacity now?
I do have a little bit on at the moment, but if anyone does want any kind of highlight reels done, I am an editor, so feel free to drop me a line.
Awesome. Well, you can find me at twitch.tv/crunky with 2 N's, or on the Twitters at crunky_twitch. Did I tell you I tried to reach out to Twitter and get the just crunky at crunky?
No.
Somebody from 2010 has my name. Has their name. They've tweeted one tweet.
Ugh.
And never have said anything since. And I reached out to Twitter and I'm like, I can't, this person's not responding to me. How do I go about getting this? And they're just like, nothing we can do. Sorry.
Oh.
So I read this form that said, well, if you apply and say that someone's impersonating you, sometimes they'll give it to you on that. And they were like, no.
Oh yeah, that's a dangerous road.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's see you guys next week, I guess, right?
Unless you want to talk about the Patreon.
The Patreon, yes. How did you let me forget that? Please go ahead.
I almost did. We guys that don't know, if you're a new listener, we do now have a Patreon. So if you want some extra content that we are putting out twice monthly at the moment, it might increase if there is enough interest. You can go and check that out. That is simply go lurk yourself on the Patreon page. And so there's different tiers that you guys can invest, subscribe, be a patron, all of the above. And you get different things. The lowest tier is just $2, guys. So $2 will get you the twice monthly extra podcast where me and Crunk will talk about a variety of different things. The first one that we've ever done just got released. Was it last week?
Yeah, there was actually a teaser in this feed. You guys probably heard it. The last episode before this one was the teaser for it, where we talk about SNES versus Mega Drive / Genesis.
Yes. So if you guys want to support us for a very minimal amount, it is greatly appreciated, and it does go back into the production of this, because we don't get paid for this as much as we would like to. Yeah,
exactly. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.